This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ Bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
And we're back on the Northland sports page. It's Brian Prudhomme. It's Dave Cook. I don't even fade that out. I just let that abruptly come to an end. I love that song because it means that Lavelle E. Neal III is with us again. Dave Cook, we always love that opportunity to talk anything with him as a Star Tribune columnist, but he's our baseball go-to. There's no two ways about it.
Oh, yeah. The really great thing is his level of baseball knowledge, but also as the head columnist for the Star Tribune, he sees it all. So it'll be fun to talk maybe a little Olympics. We could certainly talk about the Bears and get his take on that. We should ask him the NFC Central running back question.
Well, and we can also talk to him about being an established author. I know he's got another book signing in Edina this afternoon. So the book continues to gain traction about the franchise that is the Minnesota Twins. Let's start simply by saying good morning, Lavelle E. Neal III. Good morning. Thanks for joining us again. Uh-oh. Did I lose him?
No, it looks like he's still on.
I was going to say, Lavelle, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you now. There we go.
Okay, great.
We tried to give you a grandiose introduction. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for being here. Let's start with the book because you continue to kind of tour the metro area. We still hope to dot the I's and cross the T's and get you up to Duluth. A lot of things still in flux there, but the book continues to gain traction. You got a big one this afternoon.
Yeah. I'm at the Barnes & Noble in Edina at the Galleria. So that's the big time there. I have the huge atrium type area where I'm going to do a signing and do a Q&A with interested parties and talk Twins baseball and how the book came together. So this is the third Barnes & Noble in the area that I've hit. The first two were Harmar and the one off Lake Street near Lake Calhoun. I'm sorry, Beatty Makaska. It's bad habit. But so I've done 3 Barnes & Nobles. I've done a couple private signings. And there's a couple bars and restaurants in the area where I may have a signing before a Twins game or maybe a Saints game or something like that. So it's going well. Early people, a few people have finished the book. They've come back and say they liked it. They enjoyed it. So that's reassuring and makes me feel like, I'm giving people what they want. So that's a good feeling. So things are going well with the book. If you see me on the street, I probably got a box of books in the back of my car, so we can always do a quick street transaction as well. You'll get an autographed copy that way.
Perfect. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the fact that, people do come up to you at these book signings. Do they just talk about the book, or how many want to talk to you about the current state of the Twins?
The current state of the Twins comes up a little bit, but a lot of it's about the book. And, a lot of older Twins fans have questions about the 60s and the Met and Billy Martin and things like that. So, and then the other fans want to know stuff that I wanted to put in the book but couldn't put in the book, things like that. So it kind of covers the entire range of Twins history. The younger people want to know about pranks and funny people in the clubhouse. You got the older people want to know about Earl Batty and things like that. So it's great. It's great engaging with other baseball fans. And the bar, I know that people at the Galleria location are fired up. There's been a lot of talk about the event in recent last couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to it. It's always a great conversation. It's great to talk Twins baseball, and especially when the team's doing halfway decent right now.
They are, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Twins fans love to talk about their own experiences when it comes to this team. A lot of Twins fans had a heck of an experience last weekend. You did too, because I have photo evidence, but you were in Cooperstown. Quite a weekend for Mr. Mauer.
It was fantastic. And as I wrote last Monday, it's a good thing he got elected this year, because next year it would have been a madhouse, because Ichiro's getting in. He could be the first unanimous pick or the second unanimous pick to Mariano Rivera in Hall of Fame voting history. And trust me, about 20% of the nation of Japan will probably invade Cooperstown for that one. And they're already worried about logistics and where to put bodies and hiring translators to help with the madness on Main Street. So, but it was a great weekend. It was evident that Twins fans outnumbered all the other fans because it's Adrian Beltre and Todd Helton and Jim Leland. And so you had Detroit, Colorado, and Texas fans there, but they were outnumbered by Twins fans. It was an impressive showing. Just walking around the crowd, just looking for people from different parts of the area, people from Cottage Grove, people from Mendota Heights, and then, people from the Duluth area, people who taught at Princeton High School, people from Annandale, a couple people from the Dakotas, in for the special event. So it was a great weekend, and the Twins did a fantastic job with Joe Mauer's party on Saturday night. They didn't hold anything back. They had a huge room rented out at an art gallery. They had a mural of Mauer on the wall. They had a projection screen for kids to watch the Sandlot and Mauer highlights. They had a miniature golf course, so there was something for the kids to do as well. The fisherman came up to me and says, we had you in mind when we did this. And they had a little speakeasy tent next to the main tent, which had like leather seats and a private bar and everything. So I sat in there with Elcourt, and Dick Bramer came in and talked to him for a while, and it was great. And it was cool running into all the former Twins players, Brian Dozier, Jim Thome, Carl Pavano, Matt Guerrier, even J.D. Durbin, the real deal. I couldn't believe he came in for the event. So, and it was a great moment when the 10 Hall of Famers with Twins ties took a picture together. It was like I keep missing one out of this group. See, it was the 4 St. Paul guys. It was Jim Cott, Rock Carew, Tony Oliva, so that's 7. David Ortiz, Jim Thome, that's 9. I'm missing one out of that group, and I can't remember which one had Twins ties. I'm sure someone out there listening to the Northland Sports Report is immediately screaming the person's name. Unfortunately, I can't hear it.
Right. I'm trying to think of it, too. I'm puzzled now. I'm like, well, it's not Kirby for obvious reasons. Who are we missing?
They missed one that's not in. If you're going to run Ortiz in there, shouldn't Steve Carlton have been on there?
There you go. That actually would be one.
Carlton wasn't at the he wasn't there. Event this year, no.
Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. I know Sandy Koufax was sick, so he couldn't make it. But like Mike Piazza didn't show up. Ricky Henderson wasn't there. Michael Jack Schmidt wasn't there. Wade Boggs tried to come, but he got caught in that Microsoft download issue and got frustrated and just went home and said, "Screw it, I'm not coming." So while I'm talking, I'm trying to filibuster and try to come up with the last name. I'm drawing a blank. I said Cott. I said Carew. I said Oliva. Oh, Tommy. I can't. I'm missing one. I am missing one. I'll figure it out, and I'll tweet about it.
It'll come to you at some point.
It was really cool.
You can certainly text me, I hope.
Real cool photo with all of them together. It was just an awesome visual there. So yeah, it was a great time there Saturday night. I just keep catching up with a lot of people, hanging out at the hotel, smoking a cigar in the back patio, talking to all the guys that came into town. But the fans, they were just so happy. And Mauer, Jim Leland probably had the most heartfelt speech of the group, I thought.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, Helton's is good. Beltre's got more personality than I thought. I didn't realize how funny of a guy he was. And he told a story about how he got ejected from a game because he's good friends with Felix Hernandez, and they were playing against each other. So he was laughing and talking to Felix across the field about how he's going to take him deep, and the umpire at third base heard him and tossed him from the game. And so that was pretty funny. And Mauer is Mauer. He's not a comedian. He's just not a forceful fire and brimstone guy. He went up there and thanked the people he wanted to thank, and paid his respects to the fans who have supported him through the years and the people who have helped him. And it was a very solid speech that lasted 6 minutes longer than it was supposed to be. But that's the other thing about these Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. They give the inductees 10 or 12 minutes for their speeches. So they all write a speech out, and it's right at 10 minutes or right at 12 minutes. But they forget to factor in times when people are applauding, and there's a pause. Because I counted 22 times there was applause for Maurer during their speech. So that's how these things end up going much longer than they're supposed to be.
Absolutely. It was interesting that Maurer went last. It was one of the few times that he would hit cleanup in a lineup like that, for sure. Dave,
Carew.
you've been researching who it was. I think he said Carew, though.
Oh,
so that doesn't help. Did
remember.
you find the photo itself?
Not
That would
yet.
be the easy way. All right, so you've given Dave baseball trivia, so he's probably checked out, so I'll just keep going. Let's close on the Hall of Fame topic. I asked this question selfishly and personally. Tell a baseball fan who has yet to be there, what's the best thing about Cooperstown and the Baseball Hall of Fame?
The journey's kind of a pain in the rear, especially last week with all the delays across the country. But it gives you a different perspective of what New York is, because this is small town America. I think there's like one or two stoplights in Cooperstown at the most. And Main Street's a truly old school type Main Street, with little shops and restaurants and people just walking around. And then you have the museum there. You have Doubleday Field, where a lot of youth baseball takes place. In fact, I believe that this weekend, some of the Maurer family stayed in Cooperstown because one of the grandkids was playing in the tournament at Doubleday Field. So
Nice.
They just spent like over a week at Cooperstown. So you just get this quaint, little quiet town nestled, near some mountains in upper New York. And it's just a great feeling there. A couple of years, my first year was 2014. I think the year Jack Morris was inducted, I sat out in front of the house that we were renting, and I smoked a cigar, and it was like 11:30 midnight. And I'm sitting there, all of a sudden I just froze. I was like, no sirens, no automobile traffic, no barking dogs, no music, no cats, no insects. It was just silence.
Wow.
It was almost eerie how quiet it was. But that's Cooperstown, New York for you.
Yeah, that had to be comforting in a way. Speaking of comforting, the Twins, they're playing in a way right now that is comfortable for our fans, but at the same time, a lot of the games are white knuckle style. Last night was kind of the exception to the rule. This team is in a ton of tight games. Because of that, we had a buy or sell topic just before you came on, and the question was phrased this way. We know the Twins have needs. We assume the need is an arm at the trade deadline. Buy or sell that you would prefer a reliever over a starter. I want bullpen help. Dave wants a starter. What's your take, and what do you realistically think they're going to do, if anything? Because, again, they hit us with the poverty article of we don't have the financial wherewithal to do much.
Match them dollar for
So
dollar.
what's your thought on all of that?
Well, it's unfortunate that they would say that, but I would lean starter because I know the bullpen has not been healthy all year. And as soon as someone gets healthy, someone else breaks down. And I don't even know what Justin Topa looks like. He could knock on my door right now. I'd be like, stop trying to sell me encyclopedia,
Unless he wants to buy the book. That's different.
Right, exactly. So I wouldn't know. Yes, I can see the argument for a reliever. But they're slowly getting healthy. Brock Stewart's I think he's been called up.
Yeah, he's
Dalton's on
pitched,
the rehab assignment. He's going to make an appearance. Thunderberg can get healthy eventually. They got to ask the question for the left-handed side. Are they happy with Thunderberg or Okert or Caleb Thielbar, who's really had a rough go of it? And it was nice to see him pitch effectively last night against the Tigers. Are you happy with left-handed relief going into the heat of a playoff race? I would like to see – they have no rotation depth. None. You cannot trust David Festa to come in and save the day. And they're an injury away from having to recall Randy Dobnak for the first time in 4 years. Or maybe 5 years, right? Because he hasn't played since COVID. Yeah, I think that's right. So I like to see them get some rotation depth. Now, on our weekly Chin Music podcast, in which I do with fellow columnist Jim Suhan and Roy Smalley. Roy's crazy idea is that once the bullpen gets healthy, if it does get healthy, that they should stretch Griffin Jacks out and have him available as a starter.
We've already seen that movie. I don't know that I want that again.
I don't know if there's enough time to get him stretched out as well and how that stuff's going to play out. Louis Varland has pitched well his last 2 or 3 outings at St. Paul, so maybe he's cleared a hurdle there, physical or mental or both, and can get back on the radar here. But it's been amazing that they've gotten through the season with 7 starters. I'm not counting the opener. but they had the 5 to start the season, and then they sent Varland down and called up Simeon Woods, and then they've used Festus. So I think it's just been 7 starters this year. That's hard to do. They got through it last year with like 8 starters, and I told Falvey, I said, you guys can't play like that next year. You're going to have some guys in the chain here to call up. Find like some Aaron Sanchez or some veteran that doesn't mind, simmering on warm at St. Paul. And he agreed, but they still didn't lengthen out that starting rotation depth. I think they're more interested in having a deep bullpen and get as many relievers in the mix. Because you see these guys they call up, they all throw like 95. And I'm like, where are they finding these guys at? So I would go starter because I think it's easier to bring in a starter to help with depth more so than trying to every couple of weeks you have to have a bullpen game. And I know once you get into the postseason, it basically is a bullpen game, especially if a guy gets hit the first time through the order. But, that's not what we should be striving for here. We should be striving to have the deepest rotation as possible. Does that mean a Jack Flaherty type who is on an expiring contract? Does that mean a Kikuchi type? I think the Dodgers DFA James Paxton recently, and he's got Minnesota ties.
Sold him. He's in Boston.
Yeah. Boston got him?
Yeah.
That was quick. Golly. I was thinking that he'd be open to coming back here. And I was looking up Dallas Keuchel. I think he's with someone. Rich Hill is ready to pitch for someone now. I just read. Hill's got it made. He's realized that he can still have a career and pitch half a season. So he just screws around for half a year, then starts working out in like June, and he's ready to join the team in July. So Hill will land somewhere as well. So it just depends what the Twins want to go after here. It's unfortunate about the money situation because if you're just looking for a half season, you shouldn't have to worry about how much it's going to cost to bring in a good player for half a season. Could they deal someone to help balance out the books? I've advocated trading Max Kepler because they're not going to re-sign him next year. He's on an expiring deal. He's a good defensive player. Is he providing a lot offensively? Not really. But my goodness, the Rays are just able to trade Randy Arozarena.
Yeah.
He's like batting 218. I know he's got a postseason pedigree in his brief career, but it just seems like that was pretty easy for the Rays to do. Well, and I know there's some teams out there still looking for corner outfield help. So I would try to flip Kepler, see if you get an arm in return, and possibly move some money. So we'll see. The deadline's coming up here in a few days. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of chatter. It's going to be a verbal banquet among major league teams before we get to the deadline. So hopefully the Twins can find a way to strengthen this team. It's also a shot of adrenaline to the clubhouse when you bring in someone and have tangible proof that the front office is behind the cause here. So I hope they understand that too as they evaluate potential deals.
I hope so too. I'm trying to think of the last time that shot of adrenaline really rang true. Shannon Stewart for me is probably the most recent, and that was a long time ago. Dave, I'll pitch it to you since Lavelle agrees with you with the starter take. You get the last word because my crazy take was let's help with the lefty in the bullpen. Let's just reunite with Taylor Rogers. Go ahead.
Well, I've got the baseball question now, but I do want to ask him a football question later.
That might have to be his next appearance. We are up against time.
Oh, got it. Okay. So first question, Brooks Lee, is he ever going back? And if not, how does he fit into the lineup? Lavelle.
I don't see Brooks going back. He hit a rough patch here, but it looks like he's starting to emerge from it, and that's not surprising. He came up, got fed a diet of fastballs, was able to see the ball well, and he's been pitched a little tougher the last couple of weeks. So he's come back down there, but it looks like he's starting to sock the ball around a little bit. Brooks could play second, short, or third, so you can find a spot for him. The Twins just activated Miranda off the IL today, so now you got Royce Lewis, Miranda, and Brooks Lee that you can move around the infield until Correa comes back, and then it's going to get interesting. They already sent Julian down. I foresee Miranda bouncing between DH and first base. I see Lee playing second with Correa at short. I see Royce Lewis mostly at third. Roy Smalley during our podcast, once again, ladies and gentlemen, the Chin Music podcast.
Yep.
He thought about throwing Lewis in the outfield, and I was like, the last time you threw him in the outfield, it could be a disaster. But in order to keep these bats in the lineup, because we have to agree that the best version of the Twins is when the offense is healthy. And so these are good problems to have, though. This is not like a terrible thing. If someone has to play 4 or 5 times and then sit down for someone else 2 or 3 times a week, that's necessarily a bad thing. And Rocco, they have a manager who he's not afraid to platoon. So I think there's a way to make everybody happy.
I think there is as well. Lavelle, being with you always makes us happy. It's a great discussion once again. You're absolutely right about Rocco Baldelli loving the platoon, because Manny Margot is 0 for 2024 as a pinch hitter, yet they keep cranking him out there. But we will keep cranking you out there as long as you'll join us. Let's do this again, because as Dave said, there's a lot more we can talk about. Let's do it again soon.
Yep, we got football on Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Hall of Fame game.
Yes, sir. We will talk to you in August without a doubt. Thank you again, my friend. Let's talk soon.
All right, take care.
You too. That's our guy, Lavelle E. Neal of the Star Tribune. He can talk everything sports. I think down the road we need an hour with Lavelle.
Oh, I think that would be
I don't know if we can make that happen
fantastic.
or not, but we need it. What we need right now is Jay Hagen, episode 4 of 5 Guys in July. He's out in the lobby. Dave is going to go fetch him, and we'll be right back.
Save big at Menards. Discovering the perfect paint for your home has never been easier with Zinsser Smart Coat. Plan smart with interactive tools at smartcoat.com. Buy smart in-store or online for home delivery. And paint smart with this advanced paint and primer in one. Save big on Zinsser Smart Coat at Menards, America's #1 home improvement retailer for customer satisfaction, according to J.D. Power. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Save big money at Menards.
Little Only in America, that's courtesy of Jay and the Americans, which if we really wanted to, we could name our next segment just that.
Yes.
But over the years, we have stuck with 5 Guys in July. It is time for episode 4. Newsflash, our 5th will go into mid-August this year, so I don't think we have to rename everything. We just have to readjust some things. But Jay and the Americans, not a bad idea as we bring in Jay Hagen from the Veterans Memorial Hall. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's going to be a warm one out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being here. Thank you for knowing the change of venue. We've gotten awfully used to being in Hoops Brewing over recent weeks.
Yes, I was getting quite used to having a nice adult beverage.
Well, the good news is we already talked about all pints today. I'm going to be there. I know you're going to be there. So you'll get to do that. Just give it time. We got to wait a little longer today.
And water and food.
I was going to say,
Not just time.
water and food are going to be vital today, too, because as Buster Poindexter would tell us, it is going to be hot, hot, hot all day in Duluth.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. Yes, sir. Exactly. But episode 4, I know last week you teased it at the end. You had 2 candidates left to choose from. It was a matter of what order. We knew the middle name was going to be Eugene. What else do we know now that you selected one?
Well, yeah, I did select one because I did get some last-minute help on the background.
The family
Especially
weighed
the
in,
sporting
didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They came through in the clutch, and literally and figuratively. So yeah, we'll be talking about Dale Eugene Wernan today, and his role in his one of the 5 recipients of the Medal of Honor.
And let's start there, because you had a great take last week when you talked about when it comes to sports, their personalities. When it comes to military, their heroes. Let's start with the heroic stuff first.
Yeah. Oh, you want to switch the angle?
I do.
Okay.
I want to go military first because I want to know why we should care so much about these guys. We love sports, obviously, but in these scenarios, the sports feels like the window dressing.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Dale's heroic.
Of course, now I threw his notes off, though, too.
Yeah,
He's got to shuffle
exactly.
around
Yeah,
a little
right.
bit.
Shuffle around
I didn't
my
mean to put you on the
notes here a
spot
little
like
bit.
that.
But no, Dale's heroics are not beyond question here. I mean, he was he enlisted in the Army the year after he graduated from McGregor High School, and he was in Company B, 2nd Battalion, 502nd Infantry of the famous 101st Airborne, those of the Band of Brothers fame from World War II. His dad was a gunner on a B-17 in World War II, so he came from a military family. So went into the Army, and 2 years into it, mostly at Fort Bragg down in North Carolina, he ultimately volunteered to go to Vietnam. And
Wow.
Yeah.
Speaks volumes of a character right there.
Exactly. 67, it really wasn't a very pleasant conflict at that point, and certainly on the home front, but he volunteered anyway and was taken. He was sent just a little bit south of Da Nang, and they were on foot patrol. He was a second in patrol. They literally came across a very heavily fortified bunker, North Vietnamese bunker, and so close that the lead guy said that he could see him at the end of his rifle. That's how close they were. So he was shot. The lead guy was shot. Gunter, I think, was his last name. He was shot. Dale immediately, literally jumped right over the top of him, took care of that guy, and then all hell broke loose. Dale got up, grabbed his comrade who was wounded at that point, and dragged him into some level of safety back where they had established some lines, if you called a bunker, but it was very makeshift bunker at that point. And his wounded comrade said that some body came flying over the top. Somebody else, he pushed another soldier away, and this is Dale. There was a enemy grenade that landed right in the middle of the platoon, and he, again, pushed one of his comrades aside and jumped onto that grenade, and just as it was about to explode, and basically saved his whole platoon. So
again, we're chatting with Jay Hagen of the Veterans Memorial Hall, St. Louis County Historical Society. That's where all of these facts and figures, if you will, come from. It's a research haven, if you will.
Oh, yeah, very much so. And like I said, we did a little bit differently than the five guys of the past, where we said, okay, we'll find that sports personality and then let's go dig into their military background. But this year we said, okay, we've got these. We have a big project going on at the St. Louis County Historical Society. We do programs, projects, publications, events, exhibit, and education. I have to give my usual plug here.
I was going to say, I kind of feel like this cannot be rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Baseball angle, but go ahead.
Or the Veterans Memorial Hall,
right?
So Dale's exhibit is on display with the other 4 Medal of Honors in the Veterans Memorial Hall, which is under a total renovation right now, but I'm not going to go into details yet. Maybe I'll save that for the final broadcast.
There you go. Always the teaser, Jay Hagen.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Always the teaser, yes. So, but Dale, yes, his mother, obviously he was awarded the Medal of Honor posthumously, and his mother went out to the White House, and it was bestowed upon her by President Nixon at the time, so in 1969.
And speaking of Medal of Honor and speaking of President Nixon and this ilk, the president part with the saluting still kind of has my jaw agape when you mentioned the Medal of Honor. Tell us that piece again.
Yes.
The honor that Medal of Honor recipients get that just seems really, really amazing.
Yes, again, the Medal of Honor is the highest award awarded to any military personnel for conduct above and beyond the call of duty. Oftentimes, it's a sacrifice of that person's life, and that was the case with Dale. Again, to put in perspective of how high this honor is, that in the company of the President of the United States, who is the Commander-in-Chief, who everybody has to salute first, the Medal of Honor, the President has to salute the Medal of Honor recipient first.
That's the part I was waiting for. Go ahead, Dave.
You know, Brian, and Jay, in the movies, you know, you hear of things, you see things like what Dale did in real life, right? You see guys jumping on grenades and whatever, and it almost becomes a movie trope, right? But then you think of somebody that gave it all to say, I mean, you know, really gave it all to save his whole platoon. It's amazing because in the movies we get to see those people do something else.
Right. But it's Hollywoodized, that's why.
Right.
Yeah.
And the actor is in
Dale,
another movie in a couple months, right?
And Dale gave it all for that. That's just an amazing, like, makes the hair stand on my arm up a little bit.
So
Right.
again, we enjoyed doing this with the Five Guys in July and honoring our military veterans, but we do have the sports loop in. I knew you were going to get there for Dale.
Yes. So he was quite the amazing sports person. He was born in Moose Lake originally in 1947, if I get my notes back in order here.
I was going to say, I shuffled it. I'll take the blame. I shuffled the deck. Go ahead.
Okay. And they moved to McGregor. So he had, I think, 3 brothers, and a couple of them also served. But at McGregor High School, unbelievable stats. He was in football, basketball, and baseball, freshman through senior year, all 4 years.
Wow.
He captained 3 of them in his senior year. And he also, I don't know how he found the time to be in the band and the chorus at the same time. He was also
He'd run over, play the school song and the anthem, and then run back on the field.
I figure you must be on drums, because how else could you sing in the choir if you weren't also on drums?
There you go.
I mean, something you weren't using your mouth to play an instrument. So, just absolutely amazing. He also ran track in his freshman year, And
in his
so he
extra
was
time.
in his spare time, yeah. So a 4-sport athlete his freshman year, and then he had to reduce it to 3 for his last 3 years. But I was a tri-captain in his senior year, and also found the time to be on the student council and a class officer. So it's just, I mean, he was born to lead, is what it amounted to.
I was going to say, it sounds like leadership, and we talked about the volunteering for Vietnam. It just sounds like this was a high-character person that wanted to contribute any way he could, and certainly did.
Right, yeah. And
in every way.
Right, that's
in
what I
every
mean.
way
The
he could,
versatility knows no bounds, it seems.
Right.
We've got one more of these. It's going to be pushed back to August 10th, letting that part of the cat out of the bag a little bit, because we have a big announcement coming up in a few minutes as to where Dave and I will be on August 3rd. Jay, I know you know, but the audience doesn't know yet.
Okay, I won't say
so
it
keep it
then.
under wraps. But the audience wants to know who you got as round 5 this year.
So round 5, again, I got 2 weeks to prepare for that one.
Yes,
So
yes.
Have your notes in both directions.
Yes, right. I have to, because he's going to throw me another curveball.
Right. Have the unedited
yeah.
version ready as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me about your wife.
Well, actually, you guys know, right?
No notes needed there. Go ahead.
I'll ask the question. What's his middle name?
Eugene.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
You guys have been
One
listening.
One of us pays attention.
good at
The other
that.
guy's Dave. Go ahead.
So it'd be Donald Eugene Rudolph, who was also in World War II along with Colio and Courtney, and he was in the Pacific Theater in the Philippines. So, but I won't go into more details on that. And I'm still working on his sports career. So.
Well, and speaking of still working on a bit of a revamp for the Veterans Memorial Hall, but we talked about there are alternate ways to learn more about all this. There's a website. There are ways to have some fun learning about these great heroes still.
Yep, that's correct. Our Veterans Memorial Gallery, which is currently closed, and we'll go into the details on that in the next show, but you can also look up any one of our 8,600 veteran stories we do have online at vets-hall.org, or give me a call at 218-733-7500, and I'll help you try to find research about a veteran family member, or even a friend of family members.
Well, and that segues beautifully into the last question I had for you, because Dave, obviously, years past when we've done this, your dad's been spotlighted, and you helped with that. You mentioned with Dale, the family helped out. Obviously, the staff with the Veterans Memorial Hall does a great job putting this all together, but some of the research and the data that you get comes from others involved. They can do that as well.
Correct, yes. If you go online and you want to put a story, say you have a veteran family member that you want their story out there, you're more than welcome. If you follow the instructions online, it'll allow you to put out your own story out there. I get a pass at it through editing with staff, and then and it will get published out there.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate this. Dave, you look like you want the last word. I always like to give it to you.
No, it just
He says no, and then he talks. Go ahead.
it's not really a question, Brian. This story, I mean, we hear stories all the time, but this story is so personal. It's so.
I almost prefer those.
Yeah.
There are ones that we know that everybody knows, but the ones that clearly come from the heart of a family member just hit different.
We've heard, and this is going to sound very dismissive, and I don't mean it to sound that way. We've heard about firefights and guys that save others, from the ships, and we've heard Mike Colilio's story. This is different because even the recognition of jumping on a grenade for your team, it's a sports cliche, for goodness sakes, and to talk about somebody that did it, it's so personal and intimate. It's just a different kind of story.
Taking one for the team, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you did bring up a nice segue for one more thing to hit on, because you brought it up last week with the discussion of Mike Colilio. There is the scholarship that people should be aware of. Students should obviously be aware of as well.
Yes. The Mike Colilio Medal of Honor Scholarship, aptly named. He that's a $1,500 scholarship that's currently application can be taken online on either that website, vetshall.org, or on www.thehistorypeople.org. That's one word. And there you can follow the instructions and take you right to the Medal of Honor Scholarship application.
That is Jay Hagen in the Veterans Memorial Hall. One thing is clear, you enjoy this radio thing a little bit more each week. I can see it in your face.
I do. I appreciate the opportunity to do this.
Well, we appreciate having you. A little Foo Fighters with My Hero. Thank you for helping us honor the military heroes that are out there. We'll do it one more time on August 10th, but I get to see you today. We got all planes to look forward to.
All right. Very good. I'm looking forward to that.
He said he wanted to be at
Thanks,
Hoops for
Jay.
a beer. We're going to make him wait, but I will have a beer with Jay Hagen later today. That's 5 Guys in July, episode 4. Nick Stoltman, our boss, will be around to close out the show. A lot of fan-friendly announcements for the end of summer. No, I'm not wishing it away. We're going to go away for just a minute. Stick around.
Save big money on your next painting project. Menards carries Purdy paintbrushes, roller covers, trays, and paint kits to help you get the job done right. Purdy brushes are handcrafted in the USA and are the #1 brand preferred by professionals. Save big on Purdy painting tools at Menards, America's #1 home improvement retailer for customer satisfaction according to J.D. Power. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Save big money at Menards.
Be right back. I'm not sure anybody needs central heating today.
What
It's
are you
going to be
listening to?
plenty warm. This is Dave Matthews, So Much to Say. Just like I told you, it's almost like Dave was here before the show that we would
I don't
use
listen to Dave Matthews.
to bump in for Nick Stoltman's segment because he's here with a lot to say because there's a lot of big announcements that are, I'm calling them fan-friendly for the summer because there's a lot going on the fan. You just walked in, but you're a
Yeah, I
radio
did.
guy. You don't need a lot of prep time. Good
I
morning.
don't prep. What are you
All
talking?
right. Well,
I am very common
that
man
makes two
asking
of
what I
us.
do. So
Well, except for your statements make a lot of sense.
sometimes
And I've never heard you discuss your golf game, but you have the platform if you'd like, I guess.
later this coming week I'll be out. I'll let you know where I hit it on one when I get out there.
All right, where'd you play? Where'd you hit it on one? And then what?
There we go.
I was going to say, we
Yeah.
got the bit down. But
Incredible, right?
Speaking of bits, there are several that are fan associated that are coming soon. First big one, Dave, it involves us both, involves Nick too.
What's that?
Yeah.
This show is on the move next Saturday.
Oh.
We will be in Hagen. We will be at Vikings training camp for 10 to noon, the Northland Sports Page. Nick, we're going to say thank you first because that'll be a blast.
Yeah, it'll be the second year in a row we got the opportunity to do this. So the folks with Visit Egan and the Minnesota Vikings teaming up with us to, of course, we've been home for the Vikings for a while now. And so we're going to go and do a show live on location from the TCO Performance Center, their broadcast facilities, the VEN, the Vikings Entertainment Network, their radio studio. And I don't know.
Which is beautiful, by the way.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, Brian, I've got family members that live in Egan, and we can even talk about, when we talk about the city a little bit, I've got some insight now.
There you go.
Nice. So I don't know who we're getting for interviews yet, but I've been told we're getting maybe some former players, some dignitaries.
Well, and I told Dave that this morning. I said, we are very, I don't want to say rigid, but we're very to a T about how we're going to plan segments for the show and who's
Structured.
going where
We'll call
and
it
why.
structured.
Yes, that's a good word for it. I need a thesaurus. But
You got him.
I
I'm
told
right
him
here.
on the way in, you can't even say thesaurus. but I told Dave, thesaurus was like, yeah, that was the dude on the Flintstones, right? Dino was a
that
thesaurus,
guy.
right?
Yeah.
Three-horned animal.
But I told Dave on the way in, I said, next week's kind of fun because we have no idea right now who's going to be on the show. It's kind of going to be like scratching off a lottery ticket and go, hey, we got this guy.
Hey, Nick, he's lying. He's lying to you.
Well, of course.
It's no fun at all.
I'm actually not at all.
None
but-
whatsoever.
Yeah.
So beside getting to hear a show with some interesting guests on the air from 10 to noon during the Northland Sports Page, which we,
Yes. That is
to
what
be
we
expected.
do. That is what we do, yes.
Now, something else to note with that. So being that we're going to be down there, we're inviting some listeners to join us, not during the show, unfortunately, but for training camp, which is going on that day. So if you go on to the Northland fan website or mobile app right now, you can actually enter to win a pair of tickets to that day's training camp. Now, I looked, by the way, that is a sold out day. If you wanted to go next Saturday, the only way to go
Is with us.
is with us. So if you want a chance to do that, it's on the main homepage of our website or mobile app. You go enter to win. We'll be picking our winners from all the entries later on this coming week. Thursday morning, we're going to let everyone know. So you can make your plans, get down to Egan on Saturday.
That's going to be outstanding. It's going to be fun to be on the air from those studios at TCO. Like I said, they're just picturesque. It's a great experience. It's going to be fun to be on the air, but you've also got more to say about things going on in the air that'll be covered as well.
Yeah, so
How's
before
that
we
for a
get to
segue
that
for
point,
you?
that was beautiful, by the way.
Yes,
So
yes.
before we get to that, this coming Wednesday, if you probably heard, we have an air show coming to the Twin Ports
Right.
area. So it's called the Duluth Air Spectacular. It's another Kern and Company production, same people that put on the Duluth Air Show. What's different about this one is a couple things. First off, location. It's going to be over Lake Superior.
Yep.
And because of that, it's actually going to be free to watch over the Twin Ports area. So one of the things, if you go to an air show, you usually have a commentator, somebody who's providing some information about the planes. You might hear from the pilots while they're in the air. So to offer that experience while you're watching maybe from the hillside or somewhere in Canal Park or wherever you might be watching from, we've actually teamed up with the team putting this on to carry that on the air on the fan.
Oh,
Excellent.
that's awesome.
So on 4:30, we're going to go on at 4:30. We're going to go on the air with a pre-show, which is, I forget who's going to be hosting it. It's a couple of people who have been on TV in the Twin Ports area over the years. I forget who it is.
So it's just like the Viking show. You got to tune in and find out.
Exactly. It'll be a surprise. But then at 5 o'clock is when the air show does get going. You'll be able to hear from, like I said, pilots while the show is going on. So whether you're watching from wherever you are, you can listen on your radio in your car or listen on your smartphone if you have a mobile app, or go to our website, northlandfan.com. Get all the information, viewing locations, everything. We have a story right now on our website and mobile app, so you can kind of get an idea of what to expect. Timing's all there. They've actually got a map as well that we made available to get best viewing locations. I mean, it's all there. So
all the help you could ever want.
Brian, my deck will be a good spot.
That's deck, he said. Just like Common, second Common reference with all those big deck commercials that air.
Yes.
So Dave's deck is the place to watch the air show. But I know you, when it comes to air shows, you'll probably be there.
No,
that's your baby. Oh, you're not.
We've got the chairs ready to go. Dave Navarre mapped it out. We're gonna
so there you go. You have a watch party. Fan listeners, party at Dave Cook's house.
There you go. So what's neat about this is most air shows, when you get like the Thunderbirds or the Blue Angels, you get 6 planes in the air at once. The Canadian Snowbirds is who's coming to do this show. They do 9 planes in the air at once. So there's more to watch. Now, they're a little bit smaller planes than the planes you're used to with those particular shows, but you get 9 of them in the air all at once, and they do a lot of neat stuff. And the reason you might be wondering, why are the Canadian Forces coming to Duluth?
Right.
So they're actually celebrating their 100th anniversary of being an entity, and they actually teamed up with a couple of cities in the United States, and Duluth got to be one of them to provide one of these air shows. And so it's a neat thing.
It really is.
Duluth has a neat partnership with Thunder Bay, and a lot of Canadians come down across the border to visit us regularly here in Minnesota. And so it's a neat kind of partnership between the two countries, between Minnesota and the Northland and Canada. So it'll be an opportunity to show that.
One of my favorite things about that, radio is not a visual medium, but it was nice to see that our boss, who is superior in radio to us, also does what you and I do, talk with our hands, and then every once in a while does this as well.
Yeah, well, you don't want to know some of the things that happen on a daily basis that I tap and hit and move, and it's bad news.
He's right about that. So Brian, one of the cool things is another reason that we get the Snowbirds is because Duluth's really becoming an aviation hotbed.
It is,
right?
Yes.
It is.
And Ryan and the group at Kern is a fantastic reason. So it's really cool that Nick's working with them too.
Absolutely. Kudos to them. So the air show's coming up. Our training camp show's coming up. Is your agenda ongoing beyond that?
Oh, we've got more stuff.
Yes.
So,
well, just be careful, because I know how much you care about hard stops with Monster Weekend kickoff
we
coming
got another
up.
show to get to here. That's
Monster
important
Weekend
too.
kickoff
Greg's
at
waiting.
noon. From what I can tell, you've got about 5 minutes.
I can work with that.
Okay.
So we're walking backwards. We started with Saturday, then we talked Wednesday, then I'm going to talk Monday. So a neat getaway opportunity that we're launching on our website and mobile app.
Spoiler alert, I want to win this. Go ahead.
so
Spoiler alert, you can't.
I know.
Sorry, Brian.
I know.
Unfortunately.
I asked if I could accompany the winner. No decision yet.
Well, we'll see. So what's neat about this is it's an opportunity to get a flyaway trip to go to Fenway out in Boston. So you get to go see an iconic baseball stadium and see Pearl Jam play in concert there, which is the whole deal. So
You don't like Pearl Jam.
That
Brian.
doesn't matter. I love Fenway. And it's not that I dislike Pearl Jam, but Pearl Jam would be entirely secondary to being in the building. I was trying to explain that to Nick yesterday. That doesn't matter.
He'd enjoy it, I'm sure.
Go to Fenway and figure out the rest.
So the way
I'd go to Lawrence Welk at Fenway. Go ahead.
have fun with that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be beautiful. So the way that this is going to work is there's going to be some codes you'll need to listen to on the air every day for. And those are going to be weekdays, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 5 p.m., and 8 p.m., just after the top of the hour sometime, that first 20 minutes or so. You'll enter those on our website or mobile app. The more you enter, the better your odds are of winning. It's kind of like putting tickets in a drawing.
Right.
And so the more you do, the better your odds are of winning that trip. And it includes not just the tickets to the show, but airfare round trip for you and a guest. $500 spending cash and 2 nights hotel stay. So it's a nice getaway package deal to go and head out to Boston for a couple days.
And you're sure we can't win that? I'm just want to finalize.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Are family members eligible by chance? The entry doesn't have to say Brian Prudhomme, does it?
We'll let the higher ups make those decisions. I'm only at a certain level here.
I was going to say, exactly. I just lost. But the listener, you can't lose because you've got an air show to listen to. You can come with us to training camp next Saturday. Pearl Jam at Fenway. That's a pretty good trifecta.
And if you're single and you win, you could invite Brian.
You could be a nice friend.
Wait a minute. I'm married. I'm not sure how that would go over.
It's like Fenway, Brian. It's Fenway. Stay focused.
I guess I got to die on that hill, don't I? Yeah. Fair enough. But a lot of good things coming up.
Yeah, lots
That's
of good stuff over the next week. And then, of course, we're looking at some playoff football with the Harbor Monsters. Yep. We've got a game locked and loaded for next weekend, which is very exciting.
You got a game on these airwaves tonight?
We do. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We do have a game tonight, final regular season game on the road. And then, of course, we're going to have the game next weekend, home game playoffs, everybody needs to get loud and cheer these guys on. We would love to see them in the inaugural championship game on the 10th.
Really.
I was going to say, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I want to see this team not only get the title, but then I want to talk to Mayor Reinhardt about, hey, we always talk about planning the parade when somebody wins a championship. Downtown Duluth, let's go.
Let's go. So next, tonight, like you said, 7 o'clock, 6:50 pregame. Next weekend, same deal. And then, of course, we're hoping for a championship game on the 10th. By the way, that day is going to be a busy day on the airwaves.
That's a
here.
Vikings preseason game
Exactly.
as well.
So we're going to have you guys kicking things off locally. We're going to be having, hopefully, if the Harbor Monsters win. I don't know anything. I'm
Dave,
not predicting
write that
anything.
down. You got to be somewhere. Write that down.
So we'll have you guys on the air with NSP, hopefully continuing things, maybe with another Harbor Monsters show on the 10th.
Say a championship pedigree of it.
Hopefully.
Yes.
And then, of course, the Vikings-Raiders first preseason game of the season. That's a 3 o'clock or 3:25. I forget which kickoff there. And then hopefully a Harbor Monsters game to round out the night.
Should be fun. Harbor Monsters, we do know that they're hosting a playoff game at the Deck on August the 3rd. We do know they take on the Iowa Woo tonight. We're going to hear all about previewing that game because Greg Grell will be here shortly. Monster Weekend kickoff starts at noon. We get to visit Egan next Saturday. Pearl Jam at Fenway. I'm going to continue to beg my way there. But air show, all good stuff. I know summer is fading, but it's not because these are all big things.
You got to get everything you can in before we do turn the calendar September. I mean, it is still July. I know it feels like it's August, but it is still July.
With all the fall talk, like I said, married to a teacher, she cringes every time I do it, but it's worth it.
There's a couple trees outside of my apartment that have already started seeing their leaves turn colors.
Ladies and gentlemen, send your hate mail to Nick Stoltman. That is not Brian Prudhomme. That is not Dave Cook. That is Nick Stoltman uttering that malarkey here to close out the show. But, Nick, it's always good to see you. We behave better when you're here, and we'll have some fun next Saturday.
Looking forward to it, guys. Absolutely.
Absolutely. That was a great show and a great way to end it. Lots of great things to listen for right here on The Fan. Got to say some thank yous today. Lots of people to thank. Let's start with our boss because we better, Dave Cook.
Right, that's how it works. Thanks, Nick.
So thank you to Nick Stoltman. Thank
Nice
you to
that
Jay
you
Hagen.
put us on.
Thank you to Lavelle E. Neal III. Thank you, as always, to Dave Hoops. Everybody be careful today with all pints.
In the
it's going to be
heat.
fun, but it's going to be 90. Eat, drink, and be merry, but eat and drink water, too.
Yeah.
You can drink a variety of beverages and
That's
stay healthy
right
today.
from the horse's mouth. Mr. Hoops said that.
Absolutely. I thought you just called me a horse because I was the one who said it, but I appreciate it. My final thank you, whether he thinks I misread or not. Thank you, Dave Cook.
That was fun, Brian. Thank you. We'll see you next week in Egan.
I will see you in Egan. That's the Northland Sports Page, but we're going to stay right in this chair because Monster Weekend kickoff starts in a matter of seconds. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Is your vehicle stopping like it should? Does it squeal or grind when you brake? Don't miss out on summer brake deals at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly